Welcome back. Episode 5 of Bros in the Bleachers. Thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Drew.
And I'm your guest, Jake Snyder. How's everybody doing?
I know this isn't Matt this week. We have a new face in the seat. We have my good friend Jake. He'll be taking over. Matt was unable to sit in this week, but we got a very good guest on our hand, Jake, to take over the seat. Jake's very well versed in the sports world and very knowledgeable, so he was the right person to fill in for Matt.
I'm absolutely honored, Drew, to be here, and I'll take my minimal, what I like to think is more than minimal knowledge of the sports and entertainment world and apply it here. So let's have some fun.
It's gonna be fun. So we'll do our quick rundown. We have our this day in sports history, current events, bench of play, worst tweet, and we might add it, we might not. We have a new our gambling segment maybe, and then we'll get into our bleacher ranking segment. So top 5 teams you want to play with in the new college football game. So yeah, that'll be it for today. And before I go to the 15 subscribers, feel free to like this video right now, comment, subscribe, go to our Twitter. The Twitter will be in the description link. I did want to mention that. And then also, I'll probably be streaming the new college football game on this channel. So feel free to come
Go.
watch tomorrow or at midnight whenever it drops. So, yeah, it'll be a good time. So definitely tune in. But we'll go ahead and I'll lead off for this day in sports history. So today, July 15th, Messi signs with Inter Miami. Messi's got a
Big day.
2.5 year contract, 50 and 60 million bucks. Yeah.
Insane. And it's way more than that too. When you talk about all of the different endorsement deals and everything that's going on with him and being involved in ownership, the Messi mania, as much as there was Beckham mania and everything in between, it might be a little bit stronger. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, that and he gets ownership too, a little bit of some skin in the team. Um, yeah, I mean, the stadium is right down the street from me.
So, have you been to a game yet?
I went to a game and it was before he showed up, 1 month, 2 months before he showed
Oh,
up. And tickets at that time, $5. I had
I
like
was just
second
gonna say
row.
those are some low level tickets right there for $5. That's great.
Yeah, second row. And then the next 2 months, it was probably $200 for nosebleeds.
No doubt. That's a ticket I would definitely want to see. One of the great soccer players probably while they're in their era. You know what I mean? I feel like I missed out on the Beckham mania. I'm from LA, so I didn't really get to see any Galaxy games. Obviously, I'm not a huge soccer guy to begin with, but I feel like that affection's starting to come in a little bit. So maybe make a trip out. We'll see Messi. We'll see what's up.
Yeah, no, I've talked about how it's grown my interest. I mean, I don't know much about soccer, but it's as how he has helped grow the game.
Grow the game, baby. Let's go.
That's what he's here for. But I'll throw it to you, Jake. What did you have in sports history today?
All right. So my moment in sports history takes us back to the year 1909. Ty Cobb for the Detroit Tigers at age 22. So we're talking around his fourth or fifth season here. Played in a doubleheader, had 7 plate appearances, 4 hits, 2 home runs, which were both inside the park home runs. Which I tried finding footage for it, and 1909 baseball, that's this is tough beat. But on top of having 2 inside the park home runs, obviously that totaled a ton of RBIs. It totaled 6 RBIs, but then got walked once and stole a base. So over those 2 games, my man's is hitting 571, which is pretty insane. Obviously, even for 1909 baseball, but Ty Cobb in terms of the baseball, definitely one of the greats. Outside of baseball, I'm not going to advocate for my man, but definitely for baseball purposes, Ty Cobb definitely one of the goats.
Yeah, that old Tiger Stadium. I don't know what the dimensions of that field, but I know back in the day with I think the Reds old stadium, what was it like Ebbett Field or something? Does that ring a bell? I
There's a
could
couple of crazy
like
old ballparks that where it's if you hit it off
Polo
of a certain
Grounds.
wall or you hit it down a certain line in the outfield. I mean, yeah, Polo Grounds is
Polo
definitely one of them
Grounds.
where they've got. I think it's left center is the huge area that's there, and if you hit it back there, it's a little bit scary. You know what I mean? You're probably getting if you could probably get more bases than 4 if you really tried and you had the right runner for it.
Griffith Stadium where the Senators played before. Um, but yeah, Ty Cobb, 22 years old, probably looked 45. in
Mm-hmm.
our
Definitely
eyes.
did. Notorious for looking very old all throughout his career too.
Do you think there's any player currently in the MLB who could match those stats?
You gotta think that it's got to be the right player who's already shown that they can get the inside the park home run, right? So I think my default answer is probably Ellie De La Cruz. Like I feel like he's got the wheels for it. I'll tell you, I was watching the Rays Cleveland game, and I don't want to mess up the player's name, but there was a guy. I can't say that I'm watching too much Tampa Bay Rays baseball all throughout the year, but
Of
I was with some
course.
friends that are Cleveland fans, and there was a guy that was just legging out yesterday. I want to say he might have had like 8 total bases throughout the game, and I just again let me pull up his name right now. But Drew, what do you think? Who's a guy that can get two inside the park home runs in let's call it a stretch of 2 games because he really did it over a doubleheader. The stats do say that he did it in one game, but again, doubleheader just for the sake of being. Guys probably had tired legs.
You could say a player who is better than Barry Bonds, Jose Ramirez.
Yeah, there you go. Our friends from
Self-quoted,
Cleveland would definitely love that take. They will love that take for sure.
self-quoted. I'm not saying he's better than Barry Bonds, but Jose says he's better than Barry Bonds.
Sure, sure. Definitely definitely love that. Oh my God. So funny. I feel like again, you just gotta have the guy that's shown that they've gotten that inside the park home run before. Like if we're talking about all-time players, like Ichiro is definitely gonna be up there too in terms of being
Yeah.
able to just put it in the exact spot in the exact like we were talking about, right? He finds the right stadium, finds the right angle. He's legging out four.
Maybe Trey Turner's that kind of guy. I don't know if he's had that kind of stat line
That's it.
before.
Yeah, no, that's a yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. The guy that I was talking about from earlier, it's Richie Palacios. And in the game yesterday, he had a triple that he legged out that I swear I turned my head for 1 second and I thought he was going to be on two, and then he's already like sliding into third. So again, I feel like there's some guys I got to get a little bit deeper into some midweek baseball to get all the different teams, but definitely some guys out there for sure.
Definitely put the link in the description for everybody to go watch. So pretty good day in sports history for old Jake Snyder coming in fresh on the show, coming
I
out hot.
try. I try. I do what I can, but I can't say that every day in sports history I bring back will be from 100 years ago, or plus ago. But we're gonna that'll be the goal. We'll see. Get a little bit of Vince Scully action in it.
That's right. That's right. All right, we'll go ahead and mosey on over to our current events around sports. Since I started, Jake, go ahead. What do you have?
All right, so a couple days into it, but we have the MLB All Star lineups. Figured we could probably go through, talk about if there's some top players, really just focusing on the starters because there's been a couple of fill-ins like there always are. But I'm going to start with the AL for you. At catcher, we got Adley Rutschman, top class. I think he's probably hitting 300 plus at this point. I don't have all the stats pulled up, but definitely one of those guys that should be playing and probably is a top name catcher for years to come. I like
Oh
to think.
yeah.
Drew, what do you think?
I mean, there hasn't been really that crazy of a catcher than Buster Posey or maybe Salvador Perez. So he's
Maybe a Joe
definitely.
Mauer if we're getting really in the weeds. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, Joe Mauer.
Some of the other guys we've got Vladimir Guerrero Jr., one of my favorite players to watch, home run derby central. Marcus Simeon, Jose Ramirez, who you were just mentioned earlier, Gunnar Henderson, who again I think that Baltimore lineup is just stacked right now, and I mean he's got a great mustache, he's got great flow, and he's hitting 300 plus. You can't hate him.
Hate to pause you there, or actually, I'll add it towards the end. Go ahead, keep going.
Let's see. We've also got Aaron Judge with the Yankees. Again, easy. Yeah, Juan Soto, again, rounding out kind of that Yankee starter platform right there. Stephen Kwan, who, again, he's hitting 360 something at this point. It's nuts. And Jordan Alvarez at your DH spot. So those are your starters. Drew, what are you thinking?
I'm thinking if Juan Soto and Aaron Judge are gonna fist fight Gunnar Henderson and Ali Rushman during middle of the field after they just
I
cleared the
Right.
benches a couple days ago.
Hey, exactly. We're coming a few days after that. That was definitely more of like a baseball brawl, though. It wasn't anything where we're writing home about. The history books aren't going to be like on this day in history. Like it's going to be a short sports center bit on it for 30, 60 seconds. Everyone's going to forget about it. I feel like All Star Game gets people like out of their shell. At least I like to think it gets people out of their shell a little bit.
It's not on the level of my our guy Jose Ramirez throwing a right hook at Tim Anderson at second base.
hmm That's all time. That is definitely one of the all time fight clips in baseball for sure.
Yeah.
That when Jose Batista got rocked too.
Yep.
That's a fun one too.
By Rougned Odor.
hmm
Oh,
All right, and
classic.
let's pooch over to the National League. So catcher, we'll start it the same way. William Contreras, first base, Bryce Harper, been one of my favorite players to watch for years now. I know that you've been Nationals guy too, so we could both talk a little bit on it for a little while. But he's definitely one of my favorite guys to watch for sure.
Yeah. I just love that he left the team to not get a
I
ring.
figured that you would still love him. You know what? No, I'm kidding. Definitely rocking for the Phillies now, and I think that Phillies really embraced him. It's definitely. I feel like it's the right kind of city for him in a way.
Yeah, no, I mean, ugh, he's putting up numbers. Let's just say that whole team
Putting up
is
numbers.
so.
Yeah, no doubt. Rounding out the infield, we've got Ketel Marte from Arizona, Alec Boehm also from that Philly lineup, Trey Turner also from that Philly lineup. They got three starters, um, all on the infield. That's kind of interesting. I feel like the last time I saw something like that was when the Kansas City Royals were all voting in every single one of their players that they could, and they had like seven potential starters or something like that. Crazy. And then in the outfield, we've got Christian Yelich, we've got Jurickson Profar, Fernando Tatis, both of them obviously from San Diego. And then arguably the best player in baseball, my favorite player to watch for sure, is Shohei Ohtani, and he's going to be our DH spot. So that'll be his fourth straight All Star game in a DH appearance, obviously this year being on the NL side. But he's just an absolute show to watch, especially even just hitting for right now.
I mean, he's close to 30 home runs and has about 70 RBIs.
Yeah, and he's at 200 career home runs. That it just seems like a kind of foreign number to hit that early in your career. But again, the guy's been doing it consistently for a long time now. So hats off. I'm not taking my hat off, but hats off to him. You know,
Yeah, he's always just been a home run guy, but it just seems for those stats he has, the home runs don't lead to RBIs, but I mean that's kind of due to him playing on a crummy team in Anaheim. So
for sure. I think when it's all said and done, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think that he signed this Dodgers contract basically for life at this point. But he's going to put up the numbers that verify that he's a generational talent. I feel like Mike Trout was getting compared to some really big generational talent, like right when he was in the league, he was winning MVPs. And again, he was on a team that wasn't necessarily succeeding as much as they wanted it to, or really you could call it succeeding at all. But then you bring in a guy like Shohei, and again, it just shows that sometimes great talent doesn't necessarily line up for championships. But again, Shohei is just one of those guys that I think impacts every part of baseball. I mean, even the stuff off of the field. Like, look at the energy that he's bringing. It seems like he's loosened up a little bit, and really kind of leaned into that like Dodger culture a little bit. So that's our starters. But any takes on the NL side, Drew?
uh they're gonna get bagged by the AL like they always do. I mean, is there
Yes,
it just always seems to happen that way. The NL never really has the gas or the players or stars to really match up against the AL, and from what
I'm
it
looking
seems
it up
like.
right now, but you're 100% right. It's one of those games that you like to think that I'm a Dodger fan, been a Dodger fan for life, that the NL and all my Dodger representatives are just going to show out, but it just seems like the AL just bounces in and just gets it every time. But let's check that out
It also sucks that you're not gonna have Mookie Betts since he's been hurt for God about a month now. He probably would have been on the team on the All-Star team too if he didn't get hurt.
for sure. There were a ton of replacements on here too, Drew. Let me read through a couple of those before I get to our record. Um, on the NL side, a ton of pitching. Again, as a Dodger fan, we've been in, pitcher hell right now and just getting everybody injured. But a couple recent replacements. It looks like we've got replacements for Max Fried, Hunter Green, Christopher Sanchez, just on the NL side and pitching room alone. And then on the AL, um, Willie Castro, Jordan Westberg, Anthony Santander, who's sneaky, very fun player to watch on Baltimore. Obviously, been watching a ton because of Adley and Gunner, but Santander, great player to watch too.
Did Santander Did he play for the Marlins or am I just totally off on that?
Honestly, I couldn't tell you too much of the history on
No, I'm off
Santander, but
base.
I know
No, he's been there in Baltimore. I don't know
off
what I'm
base.
talking about.
Yeah. But I'll tell you, at least watching him over this season specifically, I feel like there's just so much hype around the Orioles coming in, and as an everyday MLB watcher and just being able to kind of catch everything that's going on, I feel like that's definitely a team I'm kind of keened in on a little bit more.
I mean, it's good. It's about time they got all those prospects to finally flourish and just pull that team up from the grave. Because what, 3 years ago, it was just like, who wants to be an
Mm-hmm.
Orioles fan? Now it's
For
just,
sure.
it's pretty remarkable. So,
All right, Drew. I have our records for the All Star Game for the last couple of years. So the NL won last year 3-2. Year before that, AL won 3-2, and AL has really held that slate from 2022. Wow, all the way since 2013. And Drew, you want to take a guess at who that MVP in that 2013 AL All Star Game is? It's three. I'll tell you this is a 3-0 game, and the person that you're thinking of is not a fielder; they're a pitcher. And even then, this might still be really tough. But curious to see 2013. Okay, significant year for a couple of reasons.
um, gosh, who won that year? Maybe the Giant. No, that's an NLT. We have to edit
Here, I'll
out.
look it up for you.
Let me take a guess. I'll take a random guess.
Yeah, Drew, to help
Hey,
you out, the 2013 World Series is
Detroit and was it Detroit or that was 2012?
the 2013 World Series is when Boston overtook
Oh,
St. Louis in a six-game series right there.
you said it was a pitcher.
It's a pitcher. Yep.
What was like Rick
I'm not gonna
Porcello?
say no. It's Mariano Rivera, which I'll have to
Oh,
look. I, and it was his retirement year. I think that he probably balled out. I got to look up the stats for it, but Mariano Rivera is your 2013 MVP of the All Star Game right there. But interesting lineups for this year for sure.
was not gonna guess Mario
I
Rivera. No, I
figured,
was
yeah,
just like
that was a tough one.
you presented it as someone just like totally random it could have been.
Well, I thought significant year because he retired that year. Not that I knew that before I saw the photo. I want to be very clear on that, but I saw that he had the tip of the cap moment, and I just can tell that that's the retirement year for it. So again, Mariano Rivera, All Star Game MVP. Keep that in the back of your brain for your next bingo, or I'm sorry, your next trivia that comes over to you.
Yeah, no, definitely have that in your back pocket. But thank you for the wealth of knowledge for the All-Star game, and because we don't really talk much about baseball, so we appreciate
I
your
got you.
insights on that. But I'll go ahead and start off mine. So far we have the USA basketball team heating up for the Olympics coming this late July or August.
Mm-hmm.
Um, some big guys we've had come off the team, I believe KD and then Kawhi, who I wanted to put on my bench because this guy should just retire already. I mean, at one point, do you just stop playing and just like, I think there's probably another person who could take my position on the team, and I don't have to collect 20 plus $1 million to not play a game. I'm just so sick of him. But moving on. But yeah, we have great players like LeBron James, who's I was surprised to see play on the team because he opted out like the past two times for the Olympics.
It's funny on that, Drew. I mean, I think this is the first time in Olympic basketball that Steph and LeBron are playing together because Steph had been playing in some of the FIBA things. And I think to your point, LeBron had opted out of an Olympics at one point or was hurt or something in that regard. So I will tell you, as much as I feel like the Olympics are always exciting, watching like this year's USA basketball between having LeBron and Steph on the team is definitely, and Anthony Edwards. I think that like for as much as there's like the media hype around like I'm your number one, like that's he's a baller, man. It'll be hard for anyone really on the international stage or really in the NBA to stop this guy.
Yeah, I mean, not saying like I know, and I mean I've talked trash, and so is Matt about LeBron, but Um, it kind of, I mean, you kind of think at some point you want Anthony Edwards to be, he should be the face of this United States basketball team. I think it's
It's going to
deserving.
be the 4 years after this. I forget. I believe LA Olympics is 28, right?
Yeah.
So if and when he's healthy, if and when he's still the same, beast. I'm your favorite number one's number one. Like he's going to be that guy. I have to feel.
To poke more fun at LeBron, I'm surprised he's not going to sign another 4-year contract so he could be the first Laker to play in LA in the Olympics. I mean, that'd be a pretty cool stat,
Hey,
but
that definitely would be a cool stat. But honestly, I think 4 years from now, Anthony Davis should probably still be playing, and it most likely will be on that team too. So if he's still a Laker, you still got that little bit of buzz there. It's definitely not LeBron mania, but it is what it is.
yeah. And then some other names I could think off the top of my head, Tyrese Halliburton. We mentioned Anthony Davis. Um, and then can't think of any more. And then we had Cooper Flag do a scrimmage for the United
Right.
States team, a high schooler, not a college player. Like in years of past, they might have a college player, an amateur on the team. But Cooper Flag scrimmage looked pretty good. Um, I think I mean, whoever's going to tank next year better tank good, because you're going to want to have him on your team.
Yeah, it's some Wembanyama type thrill with that. You know what I mean? Like I feel like this age of social media and basketball is just crazy because I feel like I've known about the name Cooper Flag and I've seen like I like to think that it's probably been like high school level and like freshman year of high school and now like the guy is huge. He's 6'9". He's playing against like NBA level players and there's all the media around it of like he's there.
7'4" wingspan. I mean, he's really great in the triple threat, can um, shoot, pass, or drive to the hoop. He's really special. Plays great defense. Not an original thought of my own, but I saw online comparisons. People think he's could be obviously a way better Andre Karolinko. Um, Kind of similar build. Maybe Andre's a little bit heavier. I'm sure Cooper will put on weight while he's at Duke. Um,
For sure.
but if you're a team who got a top three pick this in this year's draft, you're going to be picking yourself because you're going to want it again for
Right.
next year.
Yeah, you're just gonna want to rinse and repeat this next year, no doubt. But no, I think I agree with you in that. Like this guy is gonna step in, and at Duke, obviously being just like the blue chip caliber that it is, like they're gonna run through the tournament. I like to think like that's my early take is we're both
Whoa.
Arizona guy. We're both Arizona guys, but like this guy, like again, dude, and I'm obviously this is coming super early, and I don't want anybody to come from my head when and if Duke doesn't win this, but like this guy in before his college season is playing against some of the best basketball players that are on the planet now and have been for the last 5, 10 plus years. You know what I mean? So the fact that he's even getting 2 weeks to work out with them in the summer, he's getting this international tournament before he even plays, 1 minute of college basketball. And now you're toppling that on top of like a stacked Duke lineup, like year over year. They're gonna be pretty unreal this year.
And not to mention, he's one of 4 5-star recruits that are coming onto this
Right,
Duke team.
exactly. They're reloading just like they do every year.
It, how it pans out, and do you know who's the coach for Duke right now? Shire Spire? My
Should really
totally
know it, but I'm looking it up right now.
um
Yeah, John Shire.
Shire, yeah, okay. Shire. Somewhat
Yep.
close. But quite I mean, it is Duke, but kind of surprising that even without Coach K, they're still able to bring such high level talent.
Yeah, Drew, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't this the year that Arizona plays Duke um,
The home and
in
home.
basketball? Yep.
Yeah.
So here I'm looking that up right now.
Yeah, we beat old Blue Devils last year, not to mention at
Yeah,
away in Cameron,
yeah.
and
Casual 78 to 73 win from your Arizona Wildcats.
Kayla
Bear
balled
down.
out.
Go Cats. Meow meow. And then this year, let's check that out. Oh, actually, I
So
don't think our schedules are out yet, but I
they're
imagine
playing
it'll be
in
one of those games that's early November, right?
Yeah, they'll be in McHale.
Yep,
So,
love that. We might have to take a trip down to Tucson, check that out. We'll see what's up.
oh God, having to get that flight and
Hmm.
it would be quite the experience. I think Matt's gonna be at that game.
I have no doubt that Matt is going to be at that game.
So I'd have to talk to him, but I believe he's doing a trip around that time and he will be in attendance for that game. So
All right.
um we'll see. And then the college football news, the Big 12. Uh, we have some teams wanting to jump ship from the ACC to the Big 12, and the family just gets bigger. I
Yep.
mean, we just added Arizona, ASU, um, shoot, I'm already who other Utah. Um, I'm blanking off all the other teams, but yeah, family's gonna get bigger next year because Florida State and Clemson want to come join the Big 12, and potentially
I
four
mean,
other
Florida State's
teams.
been getting screwed recently too, so you can't really blame them, right? Like, I feel like as much as there was the whole Jordan Travis thing this last season, like they should have gotten that bid into the playoffs. Like, let's be real, you're undefeated. Sure, you lose your best player. If we're being honest, every college football team is gonna, if they're a solid team and they can go 13-0 throughout their season, they got to have that next man up mentality. They had, if their star linebacker got hurt, they wouldn't have said anything, And I don't mean to diminish the linebacker position, but let's just be real. The quarterback position is the strongest position in sport. This guy's going up for the Heisman. I can see the drop off of where you don't put him in the top teams that are there, but get him in the playoffs. Give him a shot, man. It's not just the quarterback; it's the whole damn roster.
Yeah, and I wonder too if you you miss the playoffs, or is your whole entire roster just going to sit out for your bowl game in the video game? You think that's
That would be unreal. But let's be real; these guys are trying to get a bag. I would do the exact same thing. I feel like as much as it's easier said than done, you got to rub it off and you just got to go into the next year. And I mean, again, you get an opportunity to make money and now you get to play with yourself in a video game, which, yeah, not too bad.
Yeah. And another team, four more teams are looking to be added to also to the Big 12. The two we've heard are obviously Florida State, Clemson, and then another four that we're not too sure yet. But if I had to guess from news I've heard is Louisville should be added, NC State, and then potentially Virginia Tech, and then hopefully Miami. I hopefully Miami doesn't fumble their opportunity to get into the Big 12 like they did
Look at
last
this
year.
guy.
Georgia Tech, excuse me. Yeah, so those are the rumored teams potentially going to the Big 12. Um,
I
so
think Miami, again, let's give them their rose a little bit. Let's bring back the U. I think that would be a fun movement. But again, all these conferences just being able to add teams left and right, I feel like it just kind of loses a little bit to the allure of the competition.
because of all the past years in the CFB, personally we want to see a Pac-12 team make it. I mean, we don't. We obviously we want to see the best teams in it. But it gets boring just seeing an SEC, Big Ten teams coming in year after year after year. I like a little variety. Sometimes you just want to see the small team who you think can make a push, obviously if it's deserving. But it's nice to have a little variety when watching
No
the
doubt.
playoffs. But we'll definitely have that with the 12 team format coming this year. So ain't no teams getting left out.
No teams getting left out.
I don't want to hear any crying of oh so and so who was 9-4 or 8-4 should have been in. Just like maybe you should have won your big conference game and such. Uh so yeah, but it'll be exciting. The family gets bigger because the SEC and the Big Ten are not looking to add more teams. So thank goodness.
Right. No, I think it again, it's healthy competition. I see where these conferences are going. I don't think the Pac-12 had to die in the spirit of competition, but at the end of the day, I think conferences like the SEC, they're gonna play the way they want to. They have the history of winning at this point with all the different programs that have had it. But again, maybe for a group like Clemson, like give them the bid for the SEC, right? But at the end of the day, you gotta keep the rivalries there, and I think that's the sanctity of the football piece. Like when you get college basketball and you get March Madness, I feel like some rivalries will pop up, and sure, like in conference, you're always going to have that rivalry in every sport that you play, so sure. But again, when you start adding new teams to the conferences, adding new rivalries sounds kind of crazy for a sport that's had 100 years of history, right? Something like that. So definitely interesting scape for college football that we're in. But I'm excited for the 12 team as well.
Yeah, it should be absolute electric house this college football season. So we're really looking forward to that. So we're gonna go ahead and move on to our next segment. We have our Better Play segment. Jake, you want to go or would you like me to go?
Drew, lead us off. I got some fun stuff that I think will lead us into the next one too.
Awesome. Well, I'm benching this week. Benching once again. Benching Georgia football players and getting behind the wheel under the influence.
Tough, man.
Over this
Tough.
weekend, we had two more Georgia players get arrested for DUI and reckless driving. And guess what? This isn't the first time that's happened. Um, I can you imagine how many seminars or just guest speakers that come into the football meetings that Kirby Smart brings in? So, all right, guys, and then we're gonna have our expert in the topic of not drinking and driving here. And I'm sure
It's an
all of them just
absolute procedure every time. I imagine it's like, okay, all right, fellas, you coming in for a Saturday 6 a.m. meeting. I don't know what to tell you. Like the AD is making us do this again. It's going to be the same thing. But again, I think the SEC is just going to SEC a little bit.
And then on top of that, they're driving their Hellcats. I mean, all these young guys want to get their Hellcats. They get a little bit of money, drop 80K, 100K on a Hellcat or finance. But since January of 2023, there's been 24 incidents of this
That's an
happening.
inc- that's an incredible alarming number.
Just Georgia, not just in general,
Right.
not just one conference, one specific team in Athens,
So
Georgia.
you got to imagine the best stat from that. What was the number again? Was it 23, 24?
24s.
24. So of those 24, how many of them actually played Georgia football this year? And like everyone just pretend like that never happened.
Um,
I'm
I'm
gonna
not
go
too
ahead and
sure.
get. I don't know what the number is, and we'll find the number eventually. But I'm gonna set the over underline at like 19 and a half. Like there's gonna be some that were like really gnarly, and they're like, yeah, you probably shouldn't be playing football or get your priorities straight, whatever. But I feel like they shake off a couple more of those than they should.
It's just remarkable. I mean, I don't know how many times you gotta tell these kids, or maybe implement a service. The school can, hey, if you're an athlete, you have free Uber rides anywhere you want to go.
Get
Like,
a
how hard
partnership,
is
man.
that?
Like, come on.
You guys get big money from TV deal. Maybe you can out, maybe for the president or the AD, maybe you can allocate a little less funds out of your pocket and put it to something useful like that. So we can help prevent
Right.
this from happening.
Instead
Um,
of another seminar.
Instead of Mike Gundy saying, I do it all the time. It's okay.
Yeah, that was a tough look for Mike right there.
I love Mike Gundy and his mullet, but that I heard that. I was like, you sure you want to say
Yeah,
that?
tough.
Um, but I've been to Athens once and it was for New Year's and it's pretty damn dark. I wouldn't be confident going over triple digit speed miles per hour, driving in the backwoods of Georgia going
Country
that
roads.
fast.
Country
Um,
roads, baby.
yeah, that sounds like wrap around a tree city, in Athens, Georgia, and going that fast. But yes, that was my bench of this week that I saw.
Love it. It's definitely a bench moment for me too. I won't steal the thunder on that being my bench as well. Drew, my play this week is going to be Skeens being the All Star starter. The dude is electric. I mean, I'll start with the mustache as someone who sports it periods throughout the year. Definitely a big proponent of that, no doubt. But some of the stats that this guy has, I mean, again, we're talking early. This guy's played 11 games. It's not like he is going to go down as all-time greats. We're comparing him to it, but some of the numbers here, I mean, the guy is creeping at 100 strikeouts in 11 starts. He's 6-0. He's taking this Pirates team. I think that just has not had a ton of juice. Like I think they had the O'Neill Cruz hype for a little while. Again, they've had some
Yeah.
key players leave, and they've gotten, or they haven't left, and they've gotten, a little bit older, and they've started to regress a little bit too. So I think that again, bringing in a guy like Skeens just seems to inject everybody. Like the energy is up in that locker room. Whip under one. Again, through 11 games, we're talking 66 innings, so it's not like it's not legit in any way. I will say I will play and bench if you'll let me. I know I'm intruding a little bit, but my bench moment is this guy was throwing a no hitter, has 90 something pitches, and they're pulling it. And like I saw a crazy stat, and I'll have to pull it for us, but like Tim Lincecum like is throwing no hitters and had to throw well above 100 in almost like every start that he had in the years that he was throwing like his no hitters in perfect games.
Yeah.
We're talking about a World Series MVP. We're talking about a world champion. We're talking about a Cy Young candidate. And this guy played for LSU where he's throwing, 120 to 140 pitches a game and shoving complete games in the College World Series. Like, I get it. It's a regular season game. You want to get this guy his flowers of getting to be an all-star and not like ruining the chances of that. But like, we're talking about like baseball history now. Like that's starting to get a little bit crazy for me.
It really deprives the fans of seeing such cool moments that your favorite player can have. Um, just, I mean, I guess I wouldn't know personally since you've actually played baseball as a pitcher. But seeing these college kids, I remember seeing Bobby Dahlback for Arizona throw 120
Mm-hmm.
pitches in a playoff game. And it just not being able to having that translate to have those high numbers through professionally. I get I understand pitch count. We want to save the arms. We don't want to have TJ like we have seen the escalation of over the
Right.
years. But it doesn't seem like it's helping that much having a pitch count. Has it?
I listen. I think that it's hard because when you look at some sports, like some of these guys are just going for broke. Like with football, like these guys are putting their bodies on the line like every single day, legitimately, right? And again, when you're a pitcher and you're throwing over 100 miles an hour, you're doing that as well. You're not doing it every single day. Let's be real, unless you're your relief pitcher or you're a closer. And sure, you're going through the workouts, you're getting your rehab in. No shame on that. But when you're out there, like it hurts as a pitcher getting pulled. And I'm not saying I pitched at a high level or anything like that, but even there's times where like you feel like you've got the juice. And sure, maybe my shoulder doesn't feel, 100 out of 100. Maybe it's feeling 65 out of 100 even, you know what I mean? But it's like spirit of competition, your blood's getting going. I can only imagine, a guy like Skeens who just like seems so competitive and has played again like at the highest level. I have a stats up from like this recent like no hitter game. 7 innings pitched, no hits, obviously, one walk, 11 strikeouts, one hit by pitch, and threw 99 pitches. And in the last 5 games that he's had, that's only the third most amount of pitches that he's thrown. He's thrown 107 pitches before at the MLB level. You know what I mean? So again, I get it. You're not banking on somebody getting 8 pitches in their 8th inning of baseball while they're throwing a no hitter, but like let the kid run. Like even if he gets in there and he gives up a dong in the first one, like let him run. But that was definitely my bench of the week. Play is him in the All Star game, starting it. That's mega cool. I mean, he's one of I think 3 other players that have ever done that. Fernando Valenzuela being one of them, which is definitely a lifetime. Love that Dodger, but yeah, definitely my play of the week.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier with college football, wanted to see the small teams. I wanted to see Pittsburgh have success. I think they're a cool team. They have an awesome stadium. Um, he's just their, I can understand having their wanting to protect him because since Garrett Cole got drafted, and I mean, I'm not comparing him to Garrett Cole, obviously, but
Right.
uh, I don't know. I just think you want to let him have his wins. Because even then, Garrett Cole, when he was still on the team, kind of sizzled out. I think his last two
For
years of
sure.
being with the Pirates. Um,
Well, I think he wanted to be around a winner. Like I feel like all these starting pitchers, when you're a guy like Skeens or even Garrett Cole, I'm not the biggest Cole guy, but like he does shove. Like you want to have a lineup that's around you. Like that's why it doesn't shock me that he went to the Yankees. Like he put himself behind a lineup where you've got Aaron Judge and Juan Soto supporting you from like a runs in your favor position, right?
Oh
instead of being
yeah.
on the Pirates, where, and again, this is nothing against McCutcheon, loved watching him play, but he's one of 9 players that you need to be able to step up. And unfortunately, there's guys like Judge and Soto who like consistently prove that they're worth more than just one player on the field. So, you got them going, and that kind of changes the game a little bit. So, I think that you got to have those guys behind you.
I will be suggesting a call to action to help Paul Skeens to stand the Pittsburgh Pirates. I'm calling out O'Neill Cruz, Brian Hayes, Brian Reynolds, who's actually been doing well, Connor Joe, and Jack Sawinski. Step up for this guy. Step up so he stays
Right.
on your team. You're the young guns. You're the future of that team. Don't let him down. Okay,
Yep.
don't let him
Those
down.
uniforms in that park are way too cool. And his mustache on top of that, like you've got juice, my friends. You know what I mean? You've got the juice.
Absolutely. So that's a very good play, Jake. Very good
Thank
insights.
you. Thank you. I try. I try.
All right. We'll be going on to worst tweet now. So you know what? I think I'll take the reins again because I'm pretty hot about
Please
this.
do. Please do. Make it happen, Drew.
Worst tweet wasn't it's a tweet, but I saw it within a tweet on a video with Shadur Sanders saying, "We're everybody's Super Bowl." Now it's out of context. I get it. I watched a little bit of the interview. Uh towards like obligations with his dad trying to be a high level team. But guess what, buddy? You won 4 games last year.
True. True.
And not saying that you every loss was your fault. But they just have to back it up. I want to see like some success out of Colorado because
For
it's
sure.
entertainment, it's fun. Um, but yeah, just you got to back it up.
Oh yeah, I'll be mentioning them later in our discussions for sure. But Colorado is just one of those teams where I feel like, again, you've got 2 guys like Travis Hunter, you've got Shador, you've got other playmakers around you too, that really just need to be able to step up, like when it starts getting really tough, like when you're down by 21, and in some games where they've been blown the hell out, right? Like we haven't really seen like the fight back at all. Like I think Travis Hunter is explosive as hell. I think Shador is explosive as hell. But like if we can find a way to be able to translate that into wins, and instead of just the hype around, oh, both of them should win the Heisman like immediately, or they should win every award just because like they've got the clout around them. I don't know. I'm in a tough position around Colorado right now. How many wins do you think they get, Drew, this year?
I would hope at least 8. At least 8.
8 with the conference jump?
Yeah. I think they need to do that because that's eight's
Man,
gonna they have to get 8. That's not gonna be that's
no, no, no. They have to. They have to. That's. It's not what they have to. It's what you think that they're going to be at. Because again, they have to be successful. Like Dion doing all the craziness that's going on around it. This has to end up working. You know what I mean? Like he is. They're manifesting every day that it's like this does not end up as a failure. You know?
I think 8. With all the talk they're
Yeah.
bringing up, let's see if you guys can back it up because that's the bare minimum you need for playoffs this year in the 12 teams. So bare
Yep.
minimum.
Well,
But
I can tell you right now, I'm pulling up their schedule. Um, I'll start naming teams, and we'll start kind of thinking of our coalition of it together. They're playing North Dakota State, Nebraska, Colorado State, Baylor, UCF, Kansas State, the one and only University of Arizona, University of Cincinnati, Texas Tech, Utah, Kansas, Oklahoma State. That is not necessarily the easiest cupcake of a schedule, I like to think. I think that you get blown out by a couple of teams here. I think that you lose a couple of really shady ones just based on the performance from last year. But I think that eight is probably the right number if they really put their pedal to the metal. Like they improve a lot this year. You know what I mean? But I think that moving the conference, I'm going to put them at like 6 wins. I think that it's going to be a little bit of an underperformance. I think that you will still see the hype around Shador and Travis getting Heisman talk, and they'll probably ball out. You know what I mean? But I think translating against teams like, Kansas has had a real resurgence. Cincinnati is consistent. Kansas State has resurged. Baylor's always good. Nebraska is somewhat shady, but they're kind of, solid team. So you've got some dogs that you got to play against this year.
I'll just make a quick point so we can get to yours. But if they walk out cocky like they do, I
Yeah,
can't deny that. If they walk out cocky at home against North Dakota State, and you're gonna be like, "Hey, this is North Dakota State Super Bowl," like Shador said. Uh, guess what? If you guys lose to them, you are not going to hear the end of it. Those
for
guys
sure.
are going to get flamed. So
Hmm.
don't walk in cocky. Be focused, be prepared to win the football game and enjoy all the extracurriculars after. And
You play to win the game, you
you
know?
play to win the game. Yes. Coach Green, I believe, is that? Yeah.
I
Or
think
is that
so.
Herm Edwards? Herm Edwards, excuse me.
Oh, you're right. You're right. Herm
Yeah.
Edwards. There we go.
I was thinking of never mind. But anyways, Jake, what was your worst tweet of the week?
All right, my worst tweet of the week. Drew will link it for us, but I was scrolling on X. It's still really awkward to say that, but I saw what salary for next season. There was obviously big news about Jalen Brunson taking like one of the most team friendly deals in NBA and really even sports history. Tom Brady was definitely like the comparison that people were making just because of how team friendly it was. But this is just a nut stat. So Jalen Brunson obviously doing that, then gets teamed up with some teammates of his from Villanova. But the combined salary between Jalen Brunson, Dante DiVincenzo, and Deuce McBride is 40 million or $40.9 million. And the salary next season for Ben Simmons alone is 40 million.4. So those are just insane numbers to me. I think that, again, the Ben Simmons hype came and went. I like to think a little bit, but $40 million for any player and really for any investment, if we're being honest, is just an insane number to pay. But Drew, what are your thoughts on that? This Knicks team, this Ben Simmons contract. What do you got?
I mean, the Knicks are gonna have fun. I like the Knicks. I think basketball's better when the Knicks are good, until they start really being winning, and then it gets it gets too obnoxious.
For sure.
But it's just you just have to put in perspective of how I mean the salaries keep growing every year, and what a top elite player deserves to get paid, with Jason Tatum getting what, paid $60 million.
Right.
And then if you had to put it in perspective, Ben Simmons getting paid 40, you think he'd be an all-star, putting up at least
Right.
21 to 24 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists, and maybe some steals to add to boot. So
Well, I'm not gonna lie. I remember seeing Ben Simmons like play, and he has like a really awkward style of play, in my opinion. But like the awkward style of play, like really works on the stat sheet. And again, these are not necessarily my favorite comparisons, but like he reminds me of a guy like a Russell Westbrook, where like he like it just has like a little bit of like a just different, like not your average player attack at the hoop and try to shoot like. Again, Russell Westbrook, I wouldn't say is the best shooter in terms of his, class of point guards, but like when it comes to being able to like do the fundamentals of basketball of I'm not calling it shooting at this point with Ben Simmons, but being able to get to the basket, right? Like do the fundamental of layup, dunking, like attacking, right? Being able to pass and being able to rebound, like he's had some fun spurts where it's been like, oh wow, like he's really putting it together, but it just never seems like it clicks all the way, you
it's
know?
another guy who gets hurt. He gets
Yeah,
paid to
fair.
sit out games. I mean,
And
what
40
other
million to sit out is disgusting.
I mean, I get it. It's a lot of compression on your joints, and it's a very demanding sport, but you get paid to do it.
Right.
Play hurt. There's a difference between being hurt and being injured.
Yeah. Got to make it happen either way.
But yeah, just he's on the Nets. You said the Nets, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a team that, they got the guy of Timu or Alibaba or whatever the heck who owns them.
Yeah,
Uh,
the Psy group, they're definitely going all in on it, but
yeah,
it'll
they don't
be
care. They'll throw dough at whoever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting run for the Nets. I feel like now that you've seen like the Knicks really get like that like big uplift, and again, I think they're getting a lot of good media love and what will be good media love heading into the season. Let's see Ben Simmons earn $40 million. Not just get $40 million. I want to see him earn $40 million. You know,
He won't. He
but
won't.
but I really want to see it. You know,
Yeah, I mean he's quite the talent, and
for
obviously
sure.
you would like to see him do it, but I don't see him having the muster to pull out the all the stops to play NBA basketball games. So, uh, but yeah, we'll see. But finally, moving on to our last segment, we'll have to skip the gambling because we don't have that much time. But we're gonna go with top college football teams to rebuild in the new NCAA game. Well, that's not called NCAA, but College Football 25 that comes out tomorrow or tonight, 12 a.m. So Jake, you being the guest, who are your top five teams you want to play with or rebuild or dynasty, whoever? Yeah, rebuild, excuse
Yep.
me. So I'll let you lead
No,
off.
hey,
Who do you?
well, I think that, when you think about that game, like that's the number one game mode that I'm the most excited for is being able to just rebuild teams, really get after it, get grimy when it comes to being able to be on that game for a little while. But funny enough, number five on my list is Colorado. And I think the way that I have it listed out is simply for the memes because I want to be able to see Travis Hunter and Shador in like quote video game mode, like
Oh
I feel
yeah.
like there's not a lot of players right now that I can, there's a couple like you can think of from the college football perspective in the game that are like, wow, that is a dynamic player. I cannot wait to play the video game with them, right? Like, or, with them in the video game. And I think that when it comes to those two guys are just so explosive, you could probably rebuild a team really strong after that. Not that Dion's not doing a great job, even though we kind of slandered a little bit of what the record looks like a couple minutes ago, but definitely want to rebuild that one for sure.
Yeah, no, they definitely got some exciting players that you want to play with in the game.
Yep. Next one I had was Coastal Carolina. They've got, I mean, first off, the Chanticleers is arguably the best mascot name in sports. I'd love to find someone else that can just top that. We've got color scheme, we've got the turf, we've got just, being a fun party school is also what I've heard too. So, just being able to like give them a little bit of extra love. You're talking about small market teams. That could be a fun one to play with too. Number three, I have Army. And the
Hmm.
reason why is because we will literally only run the ball. I want to see that team put up 500 yards a game. I want it to be with my third string running back, my second string quarterback. We're running the craziest option plays that they have. And frankly, we're going to be recruiting very large, very fast people because I feel like every time I've ever watched an Army game, and this is nothing against the players that are there, you know what I mean? But I want to see elite athletes go to Army, and that's not, we just we need that marriage of like football and Army being great. You know what I mean? So that's why they're in my number three. That's right there. LSU I have as my number two. The colors, the lore. Let's get back to just the SEC greatness. And frankly, the small details that are projected to be in the game, I feel like that's going to be the fun piece of it. You're going to get like some, maybe Joe Burrow just happens to get shown in like a random clip shot, or you're going to get like, Coach O eating crawfish in a corner. Like I don't know. There's going to be something nuts going on with that game, so I'm excited. And then it really shouldn't be a shocker just because we've talked about it all day. But Arizona is by far my number one. I think the conference change. I think Noah Fafita. I think Tederayo McMillan. I think just there's going to be a lot of media coverage around this Arizona team. And again, when you talk about the small shots, I will put a significant bet out there that Rob Gronkowski is somehow featured in the game from an Arizona perspective if they do the little details right. You know what I mean? If,
Yeah.
if there's not like celebrity appearances, like don't hold me to that, but like if there are, I would be shocked if Gronk is not somehow featured, mentioned, shown something when it comes to Arizona in the game.
It would be pretty cool to have some celebrities in the game. I wish definitely maybe they should add that a patch. That'd be cool. So
I'm
you
just saying, like, who knows? Like, I feel like they've done like in similar games, they've done like clip shots where even it's like, an animated overlay version of the person and then their audio. Like, who knows? Maybe in the mode where you become the coach, you meet, I don't know. I'm coming up with stuff, but I think that it could be a fun little kind of tchotchke of like, hey, let's get the celebrity football players from those schools involved.
Oh yeah. Well,
What
that's
about you, Drew?
so top five. I'll go with my number five. I have Kennesaw State. Uh,
Hell yeah.
we saw some people freaking out of another YouTuber using them and getting like crazy recruits. But if you want a team that's not very good and you want to bring that Phoenix from the ashes and build them up to a powerhouse, Kennesaw State, a team that you could definitely use. Following that, I will go with Mississippi State. If
All right.
Now, why I picked Mississippi State is they're a lot cooler than Vanderbilt. It's a big program. If it's a lesser known not a successful program that you want to build up through the game, I think that could be very fun. That you could definitely do. Number three, I'll go with Colorado. If you just want to
All
hop
right.
in, play with the cover athletes and play with some sick players and just pound offense initially, and then obviously you can build up their defense, get better players there. That could be very fun. And then number two, I'm gonna go with JMU. Shout out Harrisonburg, Virginia.
All
Um,
right.
that should be a very good team. You could argue that they could maybe make a big push this year, being in the new conference, their second year, so they'll have eligibility to go play in a bowl game. And then maybe you build them up even bigger and you get uh, delegated. You could delegate to a better conference. Uh, get crazy with it. Big 10, SEC, Big 12. I mean, options are endless.
Let
I
them
think that
run.
could be fun. And then the number one team, uh, I'll shout out is Oregon, the University of Oregon. Uh,
Nice.
that's a crazy team with Dylan Gabriel going out there. You'll be playing against some big powerhouses in the Big Ten, like Michigan, Ohio State, Notre Dame. Well, actually, no, not Notre Dame, excuse me. Um, yeah, you'll be playing some powerhouses that you'll have fun with. Um, and then it'll just be initial jump in, play with some great players, and just have fun. So
I
that would
like
be
that.
my top five. So
The JMU pick is nice. They've got a good scheme. They've got a great mascot. I believe it's like a giant bulldog. I'm looking his
yeah.
name up right now. But that's a great pull right there, my friend.
Yeah, I think the purple and gold's really cool. It's a small school. That town loves football. Their team, they broke the record for biggest college game day attendance.
Right.
So yeah,
And the
I think
JMU mascot, his name is Duke Dog. And do yourself a favor and look up a picture of my man's because it's like a Looney Tunes version of Spike the Bulldog with a purple and gold crown and cape around him. Very very regal uh, looking dog, if you will.
do they have a live mascot or the live bulldog or no? Just
The
the
pictures I'm seeing, they're no, it's a dude in a suit. But I
okay.
would be shocked. Oh no, there you go. See, they do have a live mascot as
Oh,
well.
good.
His name is Duke Dog as well, which is pretty confusing. But hey, Duke Dog it is.
Dude, dogs.
Duke
All
Dog.
right. Well, that wraps up the show. Thank you for everybody tuning in. Thank you for Jake for hopping in the seat this week. We definitely would love to have you on the show a lot more.
Of course, I will be here, my friend.
But anyways, we want to thank you for tuning in. Comment, like, subscribe what you saw in the episode, and we'll see you next week on Bros in the Bleachers podcast.
See you soon, folks.